Okay, I'll get started with the first slide. Welcome to the Virtual College Exploration for All California Students, sponsored by the College2Career Fairs and StrifeScan. Thank you for joining us. A few housekeeping announcements before we get started. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenters at any time. Your camera and microphone are off so the panelists cannot see or hear you. This is just one of many different sessions happening, so be sure to check out the full schedule at college2careerfairsconnect.org. This presentation is being recorded and will be available within about a week at that same website, college2careerfairsconnect.org. I'd now like to turn it over to our presenters.
You're muted. Unmute.
Very good. I will get used to that one day. Well, good afternoon. My name is Jeff Mongold. I'm the Associate Director of Admission at Hiram College. And I've been at Hiram for 12 years now. And this year is kind of a special year because I have two of my daughters now currently attending Hiram College. My daughter Zoe is a junior and a pre-med major. And my daughter Jade is a brand new freshman, and she is political science and theater. I'm joined here tonight with, or this afternoon for you, with my colleague, Chris Roth, and I'll let her introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Chris Roth. I am an admission counselor at Hiram. I've been at Hiram for about 6 years. I am also the nursing recruiter, so I will be working with anybody that is from the West Coast and anybody interested in our nursing program.
Okay, very good. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to introduce you to Hiram, show you around a little bit, tell you about our different offerings, and then answer any questions that you might have. And so to do this, Chris, do you want to share your screen? Okay, very good. Now, let's go to the first slide. Well, the most important part about this entire process, the college search process, is just finding the school that is the right fit for you as a person. What place matches your learning style? What place do you feel comfortable? Who can get you to your academic goals, but also where you're going to have a good time, you know? And so college is a place that is going to live in your memory for the rest of your life. It's where many of your close friends are going to be met. And so you just want to find the right fit. And so when I first went to school and I was doing my college search, I was a first generation college student. And so no one in my entire family ever went to college. And this includes, you know, not just my mother and my father, but my grandparents, my aunts, my uncles, cousins. And so I didn't have a lot of guidance on that side of it. And this was a long time ago, so it was prior to the invention of the internet. And so basically my college search consisted of me asking my friends. And half of my friends were going to a large state school on one side of town, and the other half of my friends were going to a large state school on the other side of town. But at no time during the entire process did I ever consider, I didn't even consider thinking, you know, what school is the best fit for me. I picked one of the colleges and got my bachelor's degree there. I picked the other college and got my master's degree. And so, but what I would ask you to consider is really not worrying about what school you're going to get into, but what school is good enough for you, what school meets your needs. And that's really what you're going to focus on. And so a lot of schools throughout the United States, so like 3,500 institutions. And so it's definitely a lot to sort through. But I'll tell you a little bit about our school and what kind of sets us apart, makes us a little bit different. Maybe that's a fit for you, and maybe it's not. So Hiram is a small private liberal arts college. We are located in Northeast Ohio. And so it's kind of right in between the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So right in between Cleveland and Akron and Canton, that area. Now, Hiram is located in a village. And so it kind of reminds me of like a little New England style village. It's very cute. We've got the center campus, which would be the traditional buildings. But we also have some very unique learning spaces. Chris, do you want to go to the next slide? Okay. And so, for example, this is what you just saw was Kortansky Hall. And what Chris just showed you is Bonnie Castle. Now, Bonnie Castle is my very favorite place on campus. It is a very unique learning environment. It's actually a restored Centennial Inn. And so it used to be an inn in the little village of Hiram, and now it is home to our English department. So just picture you are coming into class, you go into the kitchen, get a cup of coffee, come out into the living room, sit down on the couch, and then learn English. And so it's a very unique space and very interesting. And so our classes tend to be more discussion-based than lecture-based. And this type of setting really facilitates that. Average class size is about 12. And so you get to know your professors, you get to know them on a first name basis. Many of them live right in the village of Hiram. I know a few of them give you extra credit if you have dinner with them and their family at their house. So a very different kind of environment. I went to a large state school. And so the very first class I ever walked into was a sociology class, and it had 400 students in it. And so this is the opposite of that. The building that you can see right now, the green building right there, that is the writing center. And you'll go there when you are working on a paper. They can give you ideas for your paper. They can proofread. They can kind of go through the grammar. And so that's open 24/7. You can always have access to a tutor or a faculty member there. And then right beside it is the Pendleton House. And the Pendleton House is our history house. And the academic houses will be where the faculty will have their offices, but we also hold classes in those as well. You want to switch over to the next one for me? Okay. Yep. And Chris, would you like to talk about the new liberal arts for us?
One second, I have to unmute myself.
Yes.
And go back. Okay, so Hiram has the new liberal arts. It's a combination of your traditional liberal arts degrees with some high impact experiences and use of mindful technology for students. We have lots of opportunities with some unique courses on campus. You're gonna have lots of hands-on experience. And we'll talk about this more in our 12-3 program with our unique semester system called the Hiram Plan. So you have 12 weeks of a traditional style class with a lighter load of 3 to 4 classes. And then you'll come back after break and have a one intensive course for 3 weeks. And those tend to be more experiential, hands-on, internships, research opportunities for students. Every student has the opportunity to have guided research with a professor, internship opportunities, or a study away. And it's a guarantee for every student to do at least one of those. Many students do multiple of those. And with the guided research for professors, you're not competing with graduate students to get the research opportunities. And oftentimes our students are able to actually publish the research with their professor. Our study away, study abroad trips are great fit for many of our students, especially those that are in the nursing program or in the medical fields. They tend to fall in the 3 weeks, but you can also go within the 12 weeks or for an entire semester. You do not have to go study abroad. You could do a local study away, and they're usually a team taught course. So you're getting the perspective of 2 different specialties, such as nursing and psychology, that will go to a trip to Zambia, for example. So there's multiple different opportunities for students to do a study abroad or a study away. And then internship opportunities or observational experiences. There are many of these on campus. And also we have a lot of partnerships with off campus so that our students get the hands-on experience. Education, you get into the classroom early. Lots of business opportunities and different internships for students. Jeff, you want to talk about Tech and Trek?
Yes, I do. See, I unmuted myself that time. Hiram is an Apple campus. And what that means is we're partners with Apple Corporation. And so they provide our classroom technology, our infrastructure, but also our student technology. So every student that's incoming to Hiram, you receive an iPad Pro bundle. You have the iPad Pro, you have the Apple Pencil, you have the keyboard, and that is provided to you without any expense at all. In order to be partners with Apple Corporation, the school has to provide all of the technology that you're going to need. That way, when we have our incoming students, we don't have haves and have-nots. If there's a really cool educational app, and I have a Chromebook, and another person has a laptop, and another person's working off of a tablet, well, the professor can't use that app because if everybody doesn't have access to it, then nobody can use it. And so by being partners with Apple Corporation and providing that technology ourselves, anything that comes out that enhances the learning experience, that makes it better, or even makes it more interesting, we're able to use. And so throughout the United States, like a lot of grade schools, middle schools, and high schools, they have a one-to-one program, and they have Chromebooks or they have iPads, but colleges don't. And so there are only 8 Apple campuses in the United States, and Hiram is one of them. We are the only one in Ohio. From what I understand, Ohio State is trying to be number 2, but they haven't quite made it there just yet. But to go along with the technology side of it, we also practice the mindful use of technology. Like sometimes it's time to put the tech down and enjoy the natural environment. Hiram is located in just a beautiful part of Northeast Ohio. And so there are hike and bike trails. There's a 550-acre research field station right next to campus that we utilize. And so sometimes, you know, you get out into nature. And so we also issue you a high-end pair of hiking boots. And so that you can get out there and do research or just enjoy the outdoors that we have available. And so you want to go to the next one?
So our next is our new tuition model. Learn more, earn more, spend less. So this year we rolled out a new tuition model for our students. We looked at the soaring cost of education and realized that we just needed to do something to make college more affordable for students, more attainable. So we did a tuition reduction and eliminated all mandatory fees. So we reduced our tuition by 35%. So the new tuition cost for this year is $24,500, and there is no fees. So our Tech and Trek there's no fee associated with that. It's a one flat fee. There is no out-of-state tuition for students, and actually those that are out of state are eligible for an out-of-state grant that makes it a little less expensive for students out of state to attend. We understand that there's a significant cost when you're traveling 2,000 miles to attend college. Part of our tuition model also incorporates 2 free summer courses every year. So you can save anywhere between $3,000 to $4,000 by taking two free summer courses. By the time you graduate, that's a total of 6 free courses. The nice thing about this is you can do multiple things with it. You can either accelerate your learning so that you can graduate early. You can use it to add a second major or a second minor. And then you can also use it to kind of balance your school life, athletic life, if you would like. So some students come in, they want to play sports, but it's a heavy load to try to carry, 16, 17, 18 credits. So they might pass one of those courses out until the summer course, and then be able to take 12 to 14 credits and still stay on track to graduate within the 4 years. So that's the flexibility of our 2 free summer courses for every student. And then we are fortunate to have a great alumni donor base. They donated additional funding for us to be able to have direct referrals to paid summer internships for our students. We understand that there's a need to earn some money over the summer to help pay for college, but we also understand that you want to get that high impact learning, those hands-on experiences over the summer as well. So we've been able to attain direct referrals for students to be able to earn some money and do an internship to get that experience as well. So that is our new tuition model that rolled out this year.
And so what I find interesting about that is that every single year you hear about tuition skyrocketing, tuition going through the roof, and it's always going up and up and up. And it's been doing that now for decades. When we looked at it, we realized, and I think most of higher education realizes, that that model that we have been using nationally, it's just unsustainable. And so we decided to take the bold step of going in the opposite direction and actually reducing our tuition. We want students to pick Hiram based on fit, not based on finance. And so what we did is, you have a private liberal arts education. We brought it down to about the level of a state school. So if you're looking at a large state school and you're looking at Hiram, they're too different for you to love them both the same. And so if Hiram happens to be a good fit for you, but it's $10,000 more than the state school, well, that's a difficult conversation for a lot of families. And so we wanted to take that out of the mix, but it just got a lot of national attention. And so we had news crews coming to our little village. The news trucks were outside. Our president was on TV, on radio. There was print journalism. Forbes did a national piece on us. And they said that tiny little Hiram College in Northeast Ohio has the potential to redefine the national landscape in higher education. The prediction was that other schools would look at what we did and what we're doing. They would study it for a few years, and in 4 or 5 years, most schools, especially the schools that are our size, the private liberal arts, they would start reducing their tuition as well. And that's what I hope happens. But I'm very proud that Hiram is leading the way of making the tuition way more affordable for students. And then adding on the free summer courses and adding on the paid internships, it turns out to be a really good deal for the students. And it fits in with our mission statement and who we are as a college. So, dorm life. I'm actually starting to learn a lot more about dorm life. Now, I've been at Hiram for 12 years, but having gone to a large state school, I had a little bit of a disconnect from the dorm life. But now that I have 2 daughters going to the school, starting to learn a lot more. There are a lot of different ways of living at Hiram College. We have the traditional freshman dorms, and those are laid out, and my daughter Zoe explained it to me. They're laid out kind of in a square with the lounge in the center and all of the actual individual rooms kind of circling that, well, squaring that. But many of the freshmen will come in and they will leave the doors open, and it's designed so that new freshmen have an easy time to meet each other. So you have the lounge in the center, you have gathering spaces, and then you have the dorm rooms. Now, for sophomore level up, we have suite style apartments. And so I know that Zoe lived in the suite style apartments, and there's the building right there, when she was a sophomore. And those are the ones with like the really wide hallways, the living room, the kitchenette, private bathrooms. And so it is definitely really nice. And it's way better than the off-campus apartment that I had when I was in college. But then in your junior year, we have, and you can see an example right here on the screen, we have a Townhouse Village. And so the Townhouse Village is on campus, and it's considered on-campus living, but there's no RA, resident assistant, that is monitoring anything. It's the same experience as living off campus, but it's a lot more convenient because it's right on campus. And so we have that available, junior level up. I know that some students will rent apartments out in the village, but it's much less common. About 93% of our students live right on campus. Now, the nice thing about that is that the community kind of sticks together. If you're an out-of-state student, you don't have to worry about like everybody going home at the end of the day and you're the California kid stuck there all by yourself. You will have the rest of the campus and the community there with you. Now, Ohio is our largest state, but California is actually our second largest state in terms of population. And so if you do decide to come out, you definitely will not be the only California student. A lot of our California students are attracted to our nursing program, but also pre-med and business are really big for our students. You want to go to the next one?
Do you want to talk about the COVID response, or you want to skip over that?
You know what? I do, because the COVID response for us was a really big deal. Now, not only are we partners with Apple Corporation, but Apple comes in and they conduct workshops, not only for the students, but also for the faculty. And so when it was time to move to remote learning, which we had to do in the spring, we are on campus right now, we are in person right now, but in the spring we had to move to remote learning. Now, my daughter Jade was a senior in high school at the time, and they were on a one-to-one program. They had their Chromebooks, but not all, like the older professors or teachers actually, they really didn't get into the technology side of it. And so she got a lot of her online learning via like email and stuff like that. And so we didn't do that because all of our faculty are trained on the technology. And so we were able to conduct our traditional class because we have discussion-based courses. And so the average class size is only about 10, 12 students. And the classes tend to be discussion-based. And so we went to Zoom and still had those discussions, still had those intellectual conversations, but just remotely and online. Now, we did go remote, but what we did not do is what most schools did. Most schools came in and they said, well, we're shut down, so everybody got to go. And we're small, so we actually know our students, and we knew very well that not every single student had a better or a safer place to go. And so then what do? We gave all of our students the option. If you want to stay on campus, if you want to keep living here, eating here, you definitely can. And so from your dorm room, you can do your Zoom classes. Or if you want to go home, you can do that too because we're remote and it's not going to be a problem. So about 30% of our students stayed right on campus and lived there the whole way, all the way through May. One of those students was my daughter Zoe, and the reason being is that she was living in the suite style apartments that I just told you about, and all of her suite mates decided that they were going to go remote. And so when I'm packing up my office, I asked her, I'm like, "You're coming home, right?" And she was just like, "No. It is going to be literally years before I have this much space to myself." And so we were able to do that. Now, this semester, this fall semester, we were able to offer the students a little bit of normalcy, get them back on campus, get them back in-person classes, because when you have an average class size of 12, it's really easy to do the social distancing that you need to do. It's easy to handle safety protocols, make sure all the students are tested, and make sure that everything's safe. And so, and that was a godsend to my daughter Jade, who's a freshman. During her senior year, she lost her senior prom, her last season of her sport. She was the lead in the play, and that got shut down, her graduation ceremony. And all she really wanted was a school that was open, where she could have some of her traditional experiences, and we were able to handle that well. Now, if we are in a situation where we have to go back remote, it's like for us and as an Apple campus, we're able to flip that switch and do it on a dime. Being small makes you nimble, and we're able to take care of that. Want to go to the next slide?
So the Bachelors of Science in Nursing. At Hiram, we have something called Hiram Health. We have multiple pathways for students to get into med school, get into dental school. We have tracks for physician's assistant. We have social work. We've got multiple opportunities for students to go into different fields. One of the things that we offer that's a little different than a traditional liberal arts school is our Bachelors of Science in Nursing. We are a direct entry. However, we do have a test optional pathway this year for students, and I can talk about that in a little bit. Our nursing degree is a Bachelor's of Science. Most of our students will also graduate with a minor in biomedical humanities, which kind of brings in the social ethical aspect of the medical field for students. Students can also minor in other fields such as psychology, public health, Spanish. We've had a student double minor with theater as well. So there's lots of different options for students. Once you finish your bachelor's degree at Hiram, you are eligible to sit for the national Nclex exam, which is your licensure exam for to become a registered nurse. And you can take that in any state that you would like and get licensed in any state that you would like. It is a national exam. Everybody across the entire United States takes the same exam. It just depends on what state you want to get your license in. We have students all over the country that graduated from Hiram. We use multiple different clinical sites. We are very fortunate to be in a very healthcare heavy area. We're about 45 minutes from Cleveland, 45 minutes from Akron, and 45 minutes from Youngstown. And they all have some world-class healthcare systems for us to work with and collaborate with. So one of the systems that we work with is the Cleveland Clinic. They are currently ranked #2 in the world, #2 in the nation, and #2 in the world. So they have truly world-class care available for our students to learn. And then we also use university hospitals, which is very nationally ranked as well. Akron Children's Hospital. We've got several small community hospitals near us that we partnership. So there's a lot of opportunities for our students to learn. The nice thing is that we set up all of the clinicals for you. Once you're admitted into the program, we do all the hard work to make sure that you have your clinicals and you get your experience that you need. We start clinicals the second year in our program, so you actually do 3 years in the nursing courses with clinicals all 3 years. And our clinical learning center is our laboratory, so you'll have lots of hands-on experience in our learning center as well. We have 8 mid-level mannequins that you can change out body parts. You can simulate all kinds of experiences. This has been very handy when we were not able to go into the hospitals because of COVID. We are able to set up simulations and continue teaching our students on campus during the pandemic that has been happening. Our students are still going to clinical at this time. So we've been very fortunate to have some great partnerships. With the 8 mid-level mannequins, they can learn all different types of skills. We also have a high fidelity mannequin called SimMan 3G. He simulates like an actual true person. He has breath sounds, he's got heart sounds, he breathes. You can run a full mock code on him and the computer gives you feedback on how well you did the code. He has pulses. He's got everything you need to actually do a full run simulation with him. And then we have a sim baby that you can use for simulation as well, hands-on learning. Typically Dr. Rankin, who is our program director and also our pediatric instructor, will run respiratory failure simulations. So infants' #1 problem usually is trouble breathing. So she'll run simulations with the simulation baby and give you lots of hands-on experience, not only at the hospital, but in the clinical center as well. Nursing students can be involved in many different activities. Our students are very highly involved. Hiram nursing students participate in the Student Nurses Association. Dr. Rankin thinks it's very important to stay in contact with students and understand some of the struggles that they're facing. So she does a monthly Donuts with the Director, where she'll open up the conference room and bring in juice and coffee and donuts and sit down and have open discussions with our students to find out what they're struggling with. If they have concerns about an exam, if they have roommate trouble, if they have any kinds of things that are going on in their life that they need to sit down and talk about, having that student life and academic balance. She tries to kind of understand our students so that they have that balance. About 50% of our students on campus are at Division III athletics. Nursing is a reflection of that. So nursing, about 50% of our nursing students are Division III athletics as well. It works really well with our program because we're able to kind of balance that schedule so that when students need to, say, not have a Friday clinical because they might have to go to a game or a meet or whatever it may be, we're going to try to make sure that they're getting in on their Monday, Wednesday clinicals so that they don't have to miss their games and meets while they're an athlete. We pay close attention to whether they're in season or out of season, and we work really closely with the coaches to make sure that the students and the coaches and the director are all on the same page to make sure that the student is successful. We currently have, like I said, the direct entry pathway. And we also have a test optional pathway at this time. So for the direct entry, we're looking for students that have a GPA of a 2.8. We're looking to see that they've had biology, chemistry, and algebra 2 with grades of B or better. And then we're looking at test scores. So if you're able to submit test scores, we're looking for an ACT of a 22 or higher with math and science subscores of a 22. Or if you've taken the SAT, we're looking for 1,000 combined or higher. If understanding that the pandemic has happened and many students can't take the SAT exam or the ACT exam, we've done a test optional pathway. It's very similar to our direct entry pathway. And once students have completed all of the requirements of the first year, then they are guaranteed their spot in the program beginning the second year. So the test optional pathway is a GPA of a 3.3 with the algebra 2, biology, and chemistry with a B or better. We do a holistic review and we look at writing samples as well and interviews and any other things that you might want to submit to help support your application. athletics and student life. Jeff?
Okay, and so Hiram is definitely a sports school. About 50% of our students are student athletes, NCAA, 18 varsity programs in a school of around 1,100 students. And so the athletics are very well supported. The community supports it, the alumni support it, and also the student body. And so it's something fun to do, whether you're a student athlete or you are a spectator, and it brings a lot of life to campus. And with our 12-3 semester system, we are able to give our students a lot of balance. What happens inside the classroom, but also what happens outside of the classroom, which is just as important. And so we do a really good job with that. And our student athletes tend to be leaders on campus. And so they commit a lot of time to humanitarian work, community service, based learning, and being Division III, which it means that you are a student first, and then an athlete. And so you are always focusing on your education, but you have time to really compete at a high level and push yourself to go forward that way. So next slide.
As Jeff had said, we do have a great alumni foundation. They are all over Northeast Ohio, as well as all over the country. Our alumni have been phenomenal about giving back to our community. We were able to start the Tech and Trek because of donations from alumni. We're able to do the internship partnerships because of alumni and the connections that they're willing to help contribute back to the community. So we have a great alumni foundation. Every year we have alumni weekend, and they just come flooding back to campus for the entire weekend to celebrate, to just have a grand time. They come for alumni games and all kinds of activities across campus, and they bring their families and enjoy the whole weekend.
And that's actually one of the things that it really has me most excited about having my daughters, Zoe and Jade, at Hiram. Where I went to Kent State University, and they have alumni events, but when you go to a large school, you don't have that real personal connection. And so alumni weekend, you'll have students that maybe graduated last year, but you also have alums that graduated in like 1950. And so on our campus, it's a great place to go if you don't mind knowing everybody, because with 1,000 or 1,100 students, you really get a chance to know everybody. But as soon as you graduate, the Hiram family just kind of grows. And so now you're connected to all the alums, and they really do converge on tiny little Hiram. Every year they stay very connected. The donor, the alum that donated for the Tech and Trek program that made us first in Ohio for our Apple partnership, just last year donated an extra $6 million for campus improvements and lab space. And I know my first thought was, what kind of job do you have to have $6 million extra dollars? But what he said about that is that Hiram is the reason why he was able to achieve the success that he did. And so now he's giving back to help your generation achieve that same type of success. And so right now we have a few minutes left. If you have any questions, just put it in the Q&A and we will answer any of those questions for you.
Thank you, guys. While we're waiting for questions, I'm just going to do the final slide, and
Sure.
you guys have the rest of the time.
All right.
Thank you for joining us. When you close this window, there will be a link to a very quick 4-question survey. We'd appreciate any feedback you can provide. Also, this was just one of many sessions being hosted, so be sure to sign up for additional sessions at college2careerfairsconnect.org. In about a week, you'll be able to find the session's recording, as well as all of the other session recordings at college2careerfairsconnect.org. Thank you.
Okay, I think that is it for us. Yeah, there's only us in here at this point, so the attendees are gone.
All right, thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.